So, hello, everybody is listening. Today, I'm gonna say like my favorite person in the world, Rachel or Brian. And wow, hi, how are you?
Hi, how are you? And also a big hello to you. You're my best friend. You're always there for me. You're always contributing to me. And we have a little celebration that the two of us kind of walked together with. While I got the qualification, you're the one that really like said, keep going, open up to it, was with me when I chose it, and then paying for everything. So today we're going to talk to the
How
entity.
to entities. Oh my God.
Mm,
And
yeah.
I really want to ask like what is like talk to entities and like how is that for you?
So first of all, one of the things that I really want to invite people to is talk to the entities is exactly what it is, talk to entities. Okay. So for me, as a young child, I grew up with a super psychic grandmother. From a very young age, I was talking to a friend of mine, a very, very good friend of mine, Sue Cotter. And my grandmother would say to me, if I wanted a new dress, she'd like, ask your nan, ask your grandmother, ask your great grandmother. What she used to say is, ask Maggie Gould. And Maggie Gould was my great grandmother. So we were really encouraged to ask people that had no longer a body in this reality to contribute to our lives. And I didn't even know the words contribution at that stage. So she opened me up to receive. And I remember being very little, like 4 years of age. I lived with my grandmother till I was 8 and 4 years of age, and lying in bed. And my grandmother was sitting at the end of the bed. She used to cross her legs. She always crossed her legs like this. And I said, Nan, there's someone sitting on the bed. Because I had this sense of the bed even went like it moved. And she didn't ever go like, I was like, Nan, there's something sitting on the bed. And she said, who is it? Ask him ask who it is. And I said, who is it? Oh, it's Philly. And then she's like, oh, that's my brother. And so she would say, ask him, what did he want? And I said, what do you want? And he said, I just want to sit here with you. So I didn't recognize how different this was until I met Shannon O'Hara, who's the facilitator and the creator and the generator of Talk to Entities. So this was very natural to me. And then my mom and her sisters had massive judgment over my grandmother's reality because they didn't know how to fit it in, no right, no wrong. So I completely shut off that capacity by the time I was 11. As a child, I would go into the woods, I would talk to the fairies, I would talk to Our Lady, I would talk to beings of light, I would talk to everything, I would talk to flowers, and I had a massive communication capacity. Now, whatever occurred, because talking to the spirit world is such a weird concept in this reality, but really what's weird for me is that we don't talk to everything. Of course, everything has a life form. I'm in Croatia and there's massive war here, and we perceive the energies of the war that it created for the land. So people like me and you, Troy, we are extremely in communion with our earth, with the environment, with energies. And a lot of the times we develop something as a mental disorder or a skin disease or a body dysfunction or disease because we're not asked, have we a capacity to be aware of entities? And talk to the entities is coming out of all rejection, because I didn't want to have that capacity. It was a curse. My father's brother got killed and he was talking to me one time. I didn't want it. Get out. No. And no matter what I did, it didn't go away. Try. No matter what I did, it didn't go away. And then it became a curse. It became a curse actually in my late 20s and 30s instead of a capacity and a gift. And then when I was 40, I couldn't ignore it anymore because the voices, I could hear them. And so one of the things that I would like to generate with Talk to the Entities is that if you're watching this, you would not be watching this if you did not have an ability and capacity to hear and talk to entities. And if you ignore your awareness, I would be like, oh, I'm not listening to it. I'm getting on with my day. And it would literally be like, you know. So it's one of the areas that I would like to create a sense of peace. And I want to say, like, clean up all the shit that we've bought in regard to entities, and start to have an energetic communion that allows us to acknowledge, receive, and know and perceive, first of all, the difference that we are. I'm very, very different. And then not make that wrong anymore, start to celebrate that we have capacities to communicate, hear, receive, perceive energies. And for what reason would we destroy ourselves with our difference instead of generate a beautiful life with the beauty underneath all these capacities?
Yeah, I just like love like every word you said. And like one of the things I really like working with you and like being friend with you, just like being around you, allow me to, you have like ability, and like you showed me as well, to like listen the whispers of like what's going on and actually don't dismiss them. And I get like when you're actually willing to just be present, and like when is something is going on, like just not like shutting up yourself, not like dismissing it, but actually going like, okay, like what I'm aware of here, and looking like asking questions and like looking for different possibilities. And you have like a brilliant talent with that. And I want to actually ask you like how, like just like engaging, like taking like the classes and like actually deep dive in like this area, like talk to entities, like how is that impact like your life in like every area?
Oh my goodness me, it's more like where did it not impact my life? Now remember, when I started Access, the first class that I did in 2012, first was foundation, second was talk to the entities. And the difference was that I now recognized that I had a different capacity, and because the spirit world and talking to the spirit world and being aware of the spirit world is such, like if you go and tell like a psychologist, hey, I hear voices, like how many psychologists, Barces and Aminamar, are going to say, hey, you're aware of energies. Do energies speak to you? Are there beings that no longer have bodies? Have the ability to talk to you? Are like, and just like people in the spirit world, like some people are stupid, some people are good, you know, as in they have a beautiful contribution energy. Other people are just into what they can get, what they can take. And some people will make your life greater. So, and the ones that are coming to you, you know, there's very simple processes, which we will talk to the entities, very simple processes around like communicating, clearing, receiving, cooperating. And this is a muscle that you build over time, and you begin to trust you and you trust your awareness. Whereas initially you say, like, you think you're crazy or you're mad, you know, because you don't, like, I don't see entities the way I see you. I might like get a perception that someone is here. So that might just be, if I think I saw something, then I did. I've learned to trust that. Or it might be, you know, last night I was sitting by the pool in Croatia and there was this sadness. I was like, what is this? It was a woman that was actually living on this land. Okay. It was actually the owner's grandmother. And I asked her, you know, are you here for me? Are you here for someone else? So there's these simple tools that allow you to communicate. And one of the things about it, it's the strangest area. And strange means that I have to be really in communion with the space and with the space of being to allow my receiving. So it's one of the areas I would say that require the most presence for me. It really is. How I was impacted by it before was that I wasn't aware and I didn't have the presence. I would be taken over by these energies and think I was fucked up or stressed or crazy, or so it was like I didn't know how to energy management. Like energy management is what it came down to. So now I drop my barriers, and if you're like, what's a barrier? If you received all realities, and if you're in communion with all realities, would you ever have a barrier? No, you'd have lots of information, and then you would ask, is this relevant to me? What's going on here? Whereas for me, I had all these barriers because I had a point of view. I just want to do my job, or I just want to get on my day in a normal way. And for me, I can't live normal. I tried it. You know, I don't have that choice of, it's too painful. There's too much compression. It's like if you're aware of a rainbow and a universe and infinite knowing, receiving, perceiving, and being, rejecting that is like putting your awareness, as a friend of mine said, into a straw. So for me, I can't live, I can, but I'll go crazy or I won't want to be here. I've got to live this like myriad of knowing, receiving, perceiving, and being. And one of the big ones was learning to trust what I'm aware of, not denying what I'm aware of, not rejecting what I'm aware of. So I would say the impact now is that I have a level of presence and a level of potency, which is the ability to change anything, that I genuinely didn't know that I had. And now I recognize I was so powerful that all the drama and the upset that I was generating in my life was basically the energy of me feeding all the drama and the upset and the rejection and the barriers and the resistance and the reaction and the right and the wrong. So this is one of the areas, particularly talk to the entities, where if you have any like rightness, it is like it cannot, there is no receiving in rightness, there is no lightness. So this right and wrong and good and bad energy, there's no bad energy. And yet I was trained to use sage. You know, I did a lot of like other stuff before I came to Access. Protect yourself. I mean, if there's no bad energy, you can just be like, ooh, this is an energy that's not fun. This doesn't work for me. Okay, what's required here? What can I be to change this? I'm not engaging with this energy. I always have choice. I always have choice to feed the lightness and starve the heaviness. So for me, the biggest thing is I now have a choice in every moment where my energy goes, what energy is running my life, all of life with ease, joy, and glory. And before this, I was, and I don't mean all over the place because I'm all over the place now, but with presence. But I was literally pulled and dragged by energies because I didn't know or I didn't acknowledge that I had a massive capacity to receive energies.
Yeah, I just like love like every word you said, and like now like actually you are the person, like one of the person that I think like for me like managing energy like so brilliantly. So it's like so cool to actually see like when you choose something different, like yeah, like everything's available. And yeah, yeah. And I just want to actually like like one of the things I really love about access consciousness and like the tools of access consciousness and like to talk to entities is actually like just like give you more choice and like more clarity around like everything, because there's like a lot of things that I don't know, like thoughts like going on around like this area and like how it should be, how it shouldn't be, or
I mean,
like,
if I was to listen to some of the stuff that I was aware of, I wouldn't be alive anymore. Like, you know, like kill yourself. I don't want to be alive. You know, you're like, oh wait, like you're like, whoa, I want to die. No, I want to live. Oh, oh my God, I'm sad. Oh my God, whoa, whoa. Oh, I'm hungry.
yeah, absolutely. Is there like
like honestly, it's like, is this mine? What am I aware of? You know, and now it makes me laugh because we'll walk into a room and we'll perceive everything. And wow, like I'm so glad that you said this, because for me, I would be one of the people that would be dead only for the choice of living the tools of access consciousness. You know, if I didn't have is this mine, I would literally be jumping off the side of a cliff.
yeah, oh my God, oh my God.
And the greatest thing is I like, so basically I was with Tomislav and we were driving through a part of Croatia, and I'm in the car, and this is how sensitive and aware I am of energies. And next I look at him and I'm like, oh my God, I want to throw up. And he's like, oh, what is it? And then I'm like, oh, it's entities. And I'm like, I can see like women and kids being massacred. And remember, this was going on for me for years and I thought I was nuts, right? And then he's like, oh, did you know that there was a war here in 1991, 92? Just before that bridge is where the women and children were killed. Like, and I literally go, like, I'm still surprised by the capacities and abilities that I have. And I literally sit there and I go, okay, so everywhere where I haven't got a capacity to be with this because the universe doesn't give you anything that you can't deal with. And I start to run some clearings, you know, and things become peaceful. And sometimes it can be tricky and sometimes it's a lot faster. So I am really, I suppose the fact that I don't think I genuinely believe that I would be dead if I didn't have these tools. And now my capacity to open the door, and how beautiful that Tomislav was there and able to go, hey, darling, there was wars here. Women and children were killed right before that bridge, like right exactly where you said it. And then we, you know, asked the energy of consciousness, reject nothing, you know, react to nothing, align with nothing, agree with nothing. Consciousness, can you make this greater? And we will have lots of videos coming to you guys. We plan a lot of education in regard to talking to entities. And what would it take, Troy, for us to be the space where all the weirdness and the wonkiness and the judgments and the what's appropriate, what's inappropriate, you know, what would it take for us to be that space where we, I want to say, where we transform everything and all the lies that you've bought in regard to entity awareness into something that became a gift and a capacity and a contribution to your living.
Yeah, I love that. And yeah, I just want to actually share like one of the like tools, like what is light for you is always like true for you, and like what is like makes you heavy is a lie. And I get like, actually in this case, like it's like a huge like contribution to just like have that tool. So yeah. And
yeah,
thank you so much. Like
yeah.
while you're talking, like my whole body go like, ah, like it's just like lighting up, and like there's like so much space. Like I'm like, wow, this is so beautiful.
Yeah. And one of the things that really what really opens you up to that space is that awareness of I'm an infinite being and I can communicate and talk to all beings, you know, with a body or without a body. And when you really establish that space, and this for me is like, you've got to have body work, folks. I'm sorry, but that's the only, so that I can incorporate that knowing, receiving, perceiving being of that infinite being, and that into my physical matter, into my physical space, so that I don't have to be like impacted and compressed and contracted. And the greatest pain that I had was not acknowledging what I knew. Like I had like so much physical pain when I first started Access. And if I was to summarize it all of that pain was an awareness that I was unwilling to have, and being like, no, not talking to entities. No, I'm not, blah, 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 blah. And now it's like, wow. Or I'm not talking to my knee, or I'm not talking to my leg or my back, even though my back is like, hey, you know what, can we, you know, have a stroke, or can we have a bath, or can we be taken care of, you know, can I be taken care of? So the evolution of the journey of consciousness is continuing for both of us. And the question that myself and Troy, we are just beginning. Yeah. And I suppose the question that myself and Troy really have deep within us is, what can we add to your life that would allow you to have way more ease with living? And you know, this thing called joy, I thought I'll be happy when. Actually, joy is a state that's available to us naturally. It's a natural, you don't have to reach for it. It's free and it's available right now. And that could be the joy of us talking to each other. We get massive joy from. Oh my God. The joy, isn't it? Like, it's one of the things that brings us so much joy. And the joy of someone gently stroking your body, even yourself, you know. And one of the things that it has taken me 9 years of Access, and this is just me being really vulnerable, it has taken me 9 years to recognize that the density and anything that's not working or anything that's dense and to it is not mine, that it is an intensity of somebody else's reality of what is not true. And for me, that continuous space of being like, hang on a second, where am I here? What would it take for me to receive me? What would it take for me to acknowledge me? And then this is where you have to sometimes put on some music, dance around your apartment, might have to go for a swim, get your bars run an entity clearing, talk to your friend. So these are all being, sometimes you might just have to ask a question and make a choice that I'm not going to be impacted by these energies.
Yeah.
You know?
And it's huge. Like
it's huge.
It's absolutely huge. Like,
it's huge. It really is. So we know what we're looking to generate in the world. I know what I'm looking for me, consciousness, whatever I can be and do today to create more consciousness in the world and be that contribution where you actually matter. And, you know, have you seen you? Have you got to know you? Because the me who I thought I was not who I was at all.
Yeah, I love it.
So I adore you. Thanks for being in my life. And if you're watching this video, we hope that it contributes to you. And just remember, talk to the entities. You can start to have a conversation. What am I aware of? And we will have more to come on this. We're just getting started and we're finding our way in developing the information that will contribute to you.
Yes.
Well, the information is already there. Developing how we deliver that way that represents Shannon in the world and the beauty and the joy of Talk to the Entities.
Yeah, and I just want to say, like, thank you so much, like, for this conversation and like everything you're choosing and being in the world. You're just like absolutely so beautiful. Thank you.
And all of you out there, ask. One of our favorite questions is any energies that show up sadness or pain. What is the beauty underneath this?
Yes. Yay.
Yay.